my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, and give the video a thumbs up. This is just gonna be a more fun, hello! This is gonna be a fun video, and as a millennial with student debt and millennial wages, the concept of just blowing money also as someone who grew up not wealthy, the concept of just blowing money on stuff that I want is not like, like I literally just paid for the first time. I'm 28. I just paid for my first car wash, okay? That was a luxury that I was like literally growing up of like, why? It's gonna rain. Like okay, so like I've never, like I could, when I see people buying like arcs for $300-400, I'm like, y'all are stupid. So like, I wanted to just, if I had $2,000 to just blow, what would I blow it on? And like focusing on books, because I could do that with a lot of different realms. But books, what books would I just go ham on and just, no holds barred, just spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on for one book sometimes. So I wandered around predominantly Goldsboro and Abe's books, and I came up with some stuff. For real. See, now I feel like a bitch if I put him down. Oh, so in addition to Goldsboro and Abe's books, I went ham on Juniper Books. Juniper Books is that website that I look at and just yeah, right. That is something that if I ever get, people are always like, what should I get her for Christmas? Just go to Juniper Books, because that is a website that I love, but I don't think I will ever have the financial means to just buy something off of that website. So starting off with $45, also I converted some of these from US to Canadian. Some of the websites didn't explain if they were in Canadian or US dollars or whatever, so I'm just doing my darndest. I'm not dealing with like shipping cost and all that crap. But anyways, Juniper Books, starting off at $45, we are going with just the cover, the dust jackets of Juniper Books' A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the rest of the series, because it's going to be 6 books in that series. But the first trilogy there at least have those just insanely pretty dust jackets. I'm not super in love. I don't love or hate the existing A Court of Thorns and Roses, or I shouldn't say existing, the old ones that they released. And then they're changing them because it's Bloomsbury, and they can't just get through a fucking series without changing the covers. There's literally no need for it. It's a New York Times best-selling series. Everyone pre-orders this stuff to hit New York Times best-selling sales. Why are you changing the book covers? Anyways, I would at least want A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. The pretty dust jackets. Just the dust jackets, I wouldn't need the books. I would just remove the existing dust jackets that I have on my copies of those and then put that on. So that's $45. So honestly, I discovered Juniper Books, I think I want to say like 4 years ago, when I have a friend, I don't even remember who it was, but it's like, hey, I know you like Outlander. I was like, yes I do. At the time, it was my favorite series. And she's like, hey, I saw these like custom made dust jackets you may be like hella interested in, and it's on Juniper Books. Again, I don't love, I don't hate, I'm not married to the existing hardcovers of Outlander, but I did spend an awful lot of time and money making sure to get the hardcovers of all of the same, of all those same covers, because there's like older covers, and then I was paranoid that they were gonna do something to the new covers, but there are the TV editions which are different. But the hardcovers of the Outlander series, of the existing 8 or 9 books that are out right now, I would be spending $120 on the dust jackets for these 8 books. Just the dust jackets. Again, I just removed the existing dust jackets from the Outlander hardcovers that I have now and replace them with those. And then I also have the TV tie-in covers, the paperbacks for that series, as well as the anniversary editions. I'm all caught up, I think, on getting those. So I still love that series. Veronica Speedwell has somehow dethroned it, and I'm very sad. I looked all over the place and I couldn't find special editions or special covers or anything of that series. So I'm just gonna go ham on my next favorite series, which is Outlander. So $120 on that. See, I'm like, you know what? $120 is like, you know, I make a half decent income. You know, I could, you know, buy that and like just live off of instant noodles for a month. But my brain is just like, but that's a whole month of internet. Yes, because internet in Canada is atrociously expensive. My brain is like, Don't do it. It's not worth it. Internet's more worth it. Even though I wouldn't have to cut off my internet in order to buy that, my brain just won't shut up being like that. So I remember I was hella interested when Good Omens was becoming a TV series, which honestly, if you have not watched it, highly recommend it. I've read the book and watched the series. They're both excellent, excellent. One of the best adaptations I've ever seen. Ooh, that would be an interesting video idea of best and worst adaptations I've ever seen. Anyways, so when they did come out, that show came out, they were released several different versions of Good Omens, new versions of it. I think they said in a couple different spots that it was just like some slight like editing was like done from when the original book came out, but other than that, basically the same book. But they did a bunch of different versions, and several of them were signed by Neil Gaiman and I think Paul Kidby as well. Or I think they had versions as well that were signed by David Tennant. So there were a couple different options. But the one that I was like, I literally thought about it. And then I was like, Sam, that's rent, basically. Don't do it. That's stupid. And it is completely sold out. And so I was like, I can't even imagine what the resale value of those things are. But I was like, I'm not going to go hunt that shit down. If I had this imaginary $2,000, I would be buying the Occult Edition, which is like a turtle shell, basically. I think that's how they explained it. So it's basically like a clamshell and then like black, like metallic. It looks like hell. Like, I know they made like heaven and hell versions. And this one, this was the one that I was like, maybe I should not pay rent for a month to get it. I definitely didn't end up. So I think this differs from like the original trade paperbacks, obviously in the cover, but as well as it has, I think it's like 20 illustrations by and signed by Paul Kidby as well. So I'm so sad that there's, for some reason, I mean, I don't know, that was obviously good. Again, I don't even want to go look to see what the resale value of those things are, because it would probably make me cry. So originally they were £95. Nowadays I translate that and which was, I think, about $167-ish Canadian, which that's not actually rent, but like, that's a lot for a single book. I love Good Omens, but not enough for me to have just like not get, if I won the lottery, this $2,000, that's how I would spend it. And kind of in conjunction with that one there. So one of my favorite authors growing up, he's still on there right now, of favorite authors. He just doesn't have new content coming out because, you know, he's dead. So one author that I would just absolutely love to buy their entire catalog, basically, is Terry Pratchett. So he wrote the Discworld series. I have, I think, 3 of them. I have read a ton of that series. They kind of operate as standalones, but then there's character series, and then there's the whole Discworld series. So from my understanding, there could be like new like side releases or whatever, but there are 41 books in the Discworld series. As you can imagine, especially the time span it was published over like 3 decades or something like that, the covers changed a ton. So if I could justify buying 41 copies, they wouldn't even have to be special covers or anything like that, 41 books, just having them all of the same cover and the same size. That's my thing that I have. Raising Steam, I think, which is a really tall hardcover, and then I have Going Postal, which is a mass market paperback, and then I have Small Gods, I think it is, which is a smaller mass market paperback, and it's just kind of a chaotic mess. I would buy a new bookcase in order to just have somewhere to put the entire Discworld series. So, like I said, I wouldn't need special editions, so I just went on my Indigo and went, you know what's the average price? Some of them are like $13-ish, but I was like, you know, there may be some that are a bit more expensive, maybe like a little bit out of print, whatever. I averaged it out to about $15 for 41 books, which you're like, oh, $15 isn't a lot, but 41 books, man. So that's like $615. Okay, that's literally almost my rent. So that would be something that if I just had money to throw around, just buying the entire Discworld series to be the same size, to have the same cover artists, you know, just having that all there. Though that would be really frustrating to my brain of how to organize them, because like I said, they can operate as standalones, but there's also the entire Discworld series order, and then there's each character in this Discworld that they also have their own books that you could read in order to follow their plot. So it's just so giant a series that, like, I think that would be kind of like a lifelong goal, but because the covers change so much, because I think they're getting reprinted nonstop, that like, I don't know like, I think it'd be pretty impossible if I started collecting now from Indigo that within 5 years that they wouldn't have a cover change, right? So my all-time favorite book, period, no questions asked, is The Book Thief. I have currently, I think it's 4 different versions. Yeah, so I have 4 different versions of The Book Thief. I have the anniversary hardcover edition that we had in Canada. This is the movie cover. This is the original one that, like, I saw everywhere when I was growing up and I bought. And then this was the one that I was looking for, the with Death Dancing with Gretel on it, and this is the one that, it wasn't the same one that was on the website, but it has them dancing, and that's all I wanted. So I have always been kind of vaguely looking around the internet, honestly just out of curiosity, to see if there were any arcs of The Book Thief and if like anyone had them signed and in good condition. I'm like, I wonder how much that would cost. So I was just wandering around Abe Books, and I had noticed that there were these 2 different covers. And so the first one was published from Bodley Head, I think it was, and I have never seen this cover, so I don't even know how few copies they released, but it's a first edition of the first run, signed, and it's a hardcover, and it looks like it's in amazing condition, and I converted it to Canadian dollars, and it's about $350 Canadian plus shipping. And honest to God though, the people who sell these books and then still charge shipping when their profit margin is like 800%, honestly, you're going to hell. Just an FYI. I don't mind the profit margin. Well, that's not even true. But it's the charging for shipping after charging someone $900 for books sometimes. Okay? But yeah, I have never seen this cover before. It looks kind of like something, it kind of looks like some of the covers that I have seen for this, as well as like a mixture of other ones. But I actually kind of just love it, and I have this kind of obsession with the series because it is my favorite book, of wanting to just get every cover I can ever find of this series, or of this book. So this is just a new one that I was like, whoa! Also, it's signed. Marcus Zuzak lives in Australia. I'm not ever gonna run into him in Canada. I don't think he tours either. So, like, this would be just such a cool addition to my already existing 4-book collection. So this is actually basically the one that I was originally looking for when I got the newest version with Death Dancing with Gretel, but it's the hardcover first edition of the first run, signed. It's the UK version, so I don't know if the other one was from Australia, or the publisher didn't sound super familiar to me, so maybe it just is Australia, and maybe that's why I haven't seen it anywhere in the bookstores or anything like that. But this one, oh, what I would give to get this one. So in American, it's like $380 on Abe's Books, and then converted to Canadian, it's about $500. That is, that's a lot of money to spend on a single book. I would just love to have this book though. That specific design of Death Dancing with Gretel, which it's just so simple and like so like aligns so insanely well with the actual book if you've ever read it. And I don't know, maybe it's because of like how old Gretel is in the book and because of her literacy skills in the book that I look at that and I just think that she made it for some reason. I don't know. But like sometimes I'm like, yeah, $500 is a lot, but like maybe I just shouldn't pay student loans this month because that is literally my student loan payment each month. So like, it's just, I want it so bad, and it's so pretty, and I just don't think I'll ever get my hands on it. But anyways, the first run of the first edition of the UK hardcover with Death and Gretel dancing there, and signed. And wrapping up, because we are almost at $2,000 here, I know it's sold out. I don't even want to look to see what the resale value is, because people who do book subscriptions and resale are like atrocious. Like, it's like beyond like, oh, I'm like a rare collecting book. People buy those. They subscribe to those book boxes to get those from people that they know desperately want it, and then are like, nah, they'll get the box and not even open it, and then like the Fairy Loot box or whatever, and then immediately put it up for sale at like $3,000. Like, it's really shitty. It just, there's a specific, like, I find it really, really shitty. Like, the people who did that for, like, the Holly Black one especially, when they know there's, I feel like there really is a difference between doing that and like someone just selling it on Abe's Books like a couple, like 10, 20 years after. There's a serious difference to me for some reason. I can't quite explain it. But the Deve Bad trilogy books that they released in the Fairy Loot box, they released so few copies of this, which was an immediate, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's going to be a bloodbath. Fairy Loot's website, for some reason, they can never have enough server space. They continuously have to like to transition up in server space every single time, and every single time they're like, we didn't expect this much traffic. At a certain point, I don't believe you anymore. But the end pages of this are so beautiful, and just, I don't have the hardcover of this series. I have the first two in trade paperback. I had the third one pre-ordered in trade paperback, and despite it being on Indigo sale, like they had it as an like incentive to buy it, so I pre-ordered it, and then they've changed, I guess, the release date and just didn't tell anyone, so Indigo canceled my pre-order of it, which is disappointing, so I'm just waiting. But I never even saw the books 1 and 2 in paperback, in hardcover, sorry, anywhere. So the concept of finding the Fairy Loot ones for the £75, £79 they originally sold them for, which translates to like about $130 Canadian. I love that series so much. I would keep my trade paperbacks, but then having the UK hardcovers, I don't know, they're just beautiful. I love the edges especially, but the series is just, I'm glad it's so hyped. But I'm also like really annoyed with how Fairy Loot did that entire launch. I wasn't even going to buy any, but I know people who literally subscribed to Fairy Loot for that month before in order to like get the book covers to try and get a chance of it, and they just bungle. Like every single time they do them, they mess it up. I don't know why Fairy Loot is so bad at that, but like it's just, if you know that there's gonna be such a high demand and you're already working with the publisher, work with them to increase it, or be very upfront about like, do you have less than 100, or like, do you have 1,000? Like, you gotta give us some sort of like general concept of numbers if you're gonna do such a little run. But yeah, if I had this imaginary $2,000, I would be spending it on that. All of those transfer or converted and whatever into Canadian ends up being $1,927, which is just under $2,000, but I figured that leaves me a little bit of money to pay for the shipping of all my Juniper books shit. As well as Abe's books, which I'd probably still come out a little bit above $2,000. But still, I feel like that's good. I feel like that's a good number. That gives me like $70 or whatever to deal with shipping, which honestly, that's chump change if I had $2,000 to just blow on books. But yeah, that is what I would go shopping if I had $2,000 to just imaginary shopping spree. Is there any books that you would do this on? Would you just go blow it all on Book Outlet? Would you just... And you can't save it, none of that crap. You can't use it for gift cards or anything like that. You would literally have to go spend it. You have a deadline for when that money has to be gone. And I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I have books in my mind. At first I was like, I don't know that I really have anything. And then I literally was like, oh, Juniper books. Shit. Yeah, no, that's not true. And it just quickly evolved beyond that. Is there a series or something like that that you would just pay an atrocious amount of money for anything like that? Let me know in the comment section down below. I don't have anything to link in the description box, but I'll link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back. Wear a mask. Black Lives Matter. Stay at home if you don't need to be going out. And best of luck to anyone who has children going back to school, and a governor who's a dumbass, or a premier. Mine's pretty stupid about that too. And yeah, best of luck in whatever the hell's gonna happen in September.